So today I thought I'd just show you a few of the more interesting Michelias which are available for sale from Bernkoos nurseries, and that hasn't been the case for that many years. But we're going to look first at the series of Michelias which are known as the Caerhays series, and they were bred in New Zealand and they've been available in this country for about 8 or 10 years. And we're looking here at Fairy Cream, which is, as you can see, a creamy colour. Funny thing, this plant here is about 10 years old and it's been plastered in flowers since it was 4 foot high in a pot, and here it is today, 10-12 years on, at about 12 feet in height, and it's absolutely plastered in flower. And the best thing about it is that even 10 feet away, the scent is absolutely gorgeous. This is a truly fantastic plant that can be readily grown in most parts of this country if it's given a decent bit of shelter. If it gets a very hard winter, it may lose some of its leaves, but that isn't a problem. And just look at the volume of flowers towards the top of the bush that are being produced, and there are still lots more buds to come. And I first took photographs of this in colour in the garden diary about a fortnight ago, so the flowering span is going to be at least 6 weeks, and that's very good value in a plant as well. But look at the colour, look at the amount of flowers, and if you were here you'd get the smell too. So this is Magnolia Fairy White. As you can see, it's nearly over, and that makes it interesting because Fairy White and Fairy Cream, which are growing side by side, they're both a similar size, they're both only about 12 years old. One flowered away and then the second one has come along and taken the place of this one. This one's been out since the first week of March, and today we've just got a few tail end flowers, and by the look of it some of these seeds are going to have set and we might get a crop of seeds off this as well. You can see that the leaf structure is slightly different, the leaves are slightly bigger, possibly this is more vigorous, but it's definitely growing into a small tree. In a smaller garden you could prune it and trim it and it would take no ill effect from that. But again, you can see how floriferous it has been. Now there are two other fairies in the series. There's Fairy Lime, which is a greeny colour, and there's Fairy Blush, which has a touch of pink. I can't show you those today because our plants are slightly smaller in the garden, but we'll just give you one little clip of one of Fairy Blush a little bit later on. And this is another relatively new introduction in the world of Michelias, but really a spectacular one which we've managed to propagate a few plants of. And this is Michelia Touch of Pink. Now I've always thought that the name was peculiar because it's actually really a touch of purple at the end of the petals as the bud just opens. But be that as it may, this is a large growing tree with extraordinarily wonderful scent, and again it's quite capable of losing all its leaves in a cold winter and suffering no ill effect, because shortly after flowering finishes the old leaves will drop and the plant will look a bit denuded as the new growth comes and a new set of leaves is formed. But if we look up into the top of this plant, you can actually already see some of the older leaves starting to go yellow and drop off. And just look at the enormous quantity of flowers that are appearing at the ends of each stem. And again, if you were standing here, you would be getting the most gorgeous scent you could ever possibly imagine. The parentage of this touch of pink is as a cross between Michelia doltsopa, which is a species, and Michelia foggii, which is also a species. It was bred in New Zealand, and it's a welcome addition to the garden here. Our oldest plant is now about 30 years old and is substantially bigger than this one. So this is a fourth Michelia, which again is available at Burncoos, and we have struggled to propagate it, but we think we've got that right now. And this is Michelia mixed up miss. Again, a peculiar name. I think the mixed up miss refers to the sort of juxtaposition of the colours in the flower and in the bud, and you get, these are quite small flowers compared to Touch of Pink, but they've got rather more purple in them, and you get rather more variable striping in the petals, as you particularly see in the buds as they open. Again, there's a striking scent. Again, this grows into a tall tree. We got the label wrong ourselves, and for many years we thought its name was Mixed Up Mess, but we were soon corrected on that in the reference books. Again, this is a cross between Michelia doltsopa and Michelia figo, engineered in New Zealand, bred in New Zealand. And again, it's a fantastic thing. Look how many buds there are still to come out. Look how long the flowering span is going to be. And the scent is absolutely bathing the path. So just to finish off, here is the last one of the Fairy series. This is Fairy Blush, which has this lovely pinky hue to the buds and a little bit more pink at the end of the bud, which is something we've seen in all these Michelias. So this little plant, which is now, I suppose, about nearly 3 feet tall, imagine that in 10 years' time at about 15, 18 feet, and just as covered in flowers as a tree as it is in this 5-litre pot we're looking at today.